interest rates and QE. Certainly the yellow metal is up around 30% year to date and on track, as you're probably aware, for more than a decade of upside. So today we're following the gold for a special CNBC Gold Rush series. The journey started earlier today with our own Bob Pisani, who was 2.7 miles underground, Bob.
Yeah, who cares when you're that far down? It was hot right down there, Simon. In Johannesburg, South Africa, we traveled to the deepest mine in the world. That was the Mponeng mine. Then we went to the world's biggest refiner. That was the Rand refinery outside of Johannesburg. But what happens to the gold once it's been refined? And how is gold actually priced? Meet the middlemen of the gold world, the bullion banks. London, an epicenter of the gold bullion market, where about $75 billion worth of gold is traded every day. Banks like HSBC trade much of the world's bullion, which is housed in vaults all over the world, like this one in London. Whether the banks buy the gold directly from the miners and refiners or hold it for clients, the bank serves as a vital intermediary, according to HSBC's global head of precious metals, Jeremy Charles.
When the producers want to sell, they can sell to a bank. When the consumers want to buy, they can buy from a bank.
Once the gold gets in the vaults, there's a lot of different things the banks can do with it. They can store it for private clients or exchange-traded funds or central banks, or they can sell it to other banks, or they can advance it to jewelry manufacturers and industrial companies. Tim Denetti is a managing director on the Scotia-Macata Gold Trading Desk in New York. He says bullion banks operate a lot like traditional banks.
It's kind of like a microcosm of a bank, where the bank does financing, cash management, and other services. We do that in precious metals for our clients.
Bullion banks also play an important role in the daily price of gold, and it all starts in London. For 100 years, the spot or cash price of gold has been set at a twice-daily conference known as the Fix, now done by phone between 5 bullion dealers who settle the price based on the buy and sell orders of their customers.
Because it's open and transparent and tradable, that represents a very, very credible benchmark price.
In addition to the London Fix, the price of gold is determined by global supply and demand factors that also come together on trading desks, like this one at Scotia-Macata in New York. New York is one of 3 principal trading centers for gold around the world, the other 2 being London and Hong Kong. In addition, other countries also allow trading in gold futures as well. Trading in gold futures at places like New York's Mercantile Exchange come together with trading on gold desks and the London Fix to create a series of global gold prices that usually trade in a tight relationship. When they don't, players like Scotia-Macata can step in to arbitrage the difference. Meanwhile, back in the vaults, about half of the world's gold will eventually end up as jewelry, manufactured by wholesalers like Stuller in Lafayette, Louisiana. My thanks to Scotia-Macata for letting us sit on their trading desk all day. The jewelry business is the largest single user of gold in the world. Half of the gold in the world actually ends up as jewelry. Now, our Gold Rush series continues next on Street Signs. We go to one of the largest wholesale jewelers in the world to see how gold goes from bars to jewelry using the ancient lost wax method. You're going to love watching this.
Gold Rush series,
how I determined the gold.
2.2 miles underground to the biggest consumer of gold, the jewelry industry. Bob, take it away.
Far and away the biggest there, Brian. About half of all the gold in the world actually ends up as jewelry. And for some investors, that's the way to go. Own physical gold. 150 miles west of New Orleans, in the heart of Cajun country, Lafayette, Louisiana, is the home of Stuller, the largest wholesale jewelry manufacturer in the United States. And what a home, a 600,000 square foot facility, 1,200 employees strong. This is where it all begins. This is the Stuller Vault. Gold is brought here in the form of these big gold bars. They weigh about 400 ounces apiece. Some of it is melted down into these 1-ounce bars that is sold to individual investors. The rest of it is all brought over here and combined with this gold from the manufacturing processes. All of it is destined for the melt house. Inside the melt house, gold is heated and molded into various forms. Wires of different thicknesses, as well as sheet plate and casting grain. Tiny nuggets of gold used in a process thousands of years old called lost wax casting. It starts with CAD designers and artisans carving delicate wax models, which are then pressed into molds. So this is a mold. It's plaster and wax. It's a wax tree that the ring molds are attached to. It is then placed into this oven, held overnight. The wax melts out. There's a cavity there. It's pushed into this machine where gold is pumped in to replace the cavity. Now we're literally going to break the mold. The mold is broken open, it's placed in the water, it's cleaned off, and this is what you've got. But look, it's still dirty. It's got to be water blasted, but once that happens, here's what you've got. A tree full of gold rings. Once the trees are clipped, the pieces are ready for the finishing touches. So this is stone setting. This is where the final product is assembled. Jewelers, both big and small, will call in orders from all over the world. They'll say, for example, I want this kind of gold ring with this kind of setting paired with that kind of diamond. This is where that final product is set, polished, and boxed. Stoller stocks close to 100,000 items, and on any given day, the company ships between 5,000 and 6,000 orders to its 40,000 clients. All the orders of individual jewelry come down this giant conveyor belt. A barcode scanner then sorts all of the jewelry into these baskets. The baskets are then sorted by customers in these yellow bins. They're then packed up and ready for shipment. Even with record gold prices sparking greater demand for silver jewelry, Stoller CEO Jay Jackson says, like the metal itself, gold demand seems indestructible.
As long as there's love, lust, and guilt, there will be a jewelry industry, and gold will forever be a major, major part of that industry.
Thank goodness for lust. By the way, I was curious about how they made sure their gold is of advertised quality, so I asked them, I said, can you determine what kind of gold is in my ring? So I gave them my grandfather's wedding ring from the 1930s. This is it. They used a process called X-ray fluorescence. They were able to tell me exactly what this ring was made of without melting it down. Turns out 55.6% pure gold. The rest is silver and copper. By the way, here's the standards for gold purity by carat. Most gold jewelry is 14 carat. That's 58% pure gold. 18 is 75. 22, 91.6. And 24 carat, 99% gold. Mine is a little bit below that 58%. They said that's because it was made in the 1930s before the standards were set up. By the way, our Gold Rush series continues tomorrow. CNBC's exclusive access inside the largest private gold